You've been talking about doing a Cult of MAGA video, a Rate My Cult MAGA for a long time.
The Cult of Trump, yes.
Along with a, Madness on the Left cult also.
Which they have their own thing in going. They're forming something because they lack a religion. But go on.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Thank God you did not do it, because this is the most culturally important moment in the Cult of MAGA. This is the ascension of the God Emperor Trump. Because
yes.
you can look at what happened as divine intervention, like a miracle happened.
That he did not get killed.
Right. Because when you watch the video, he turns his head. Like, we've been watching many, many, many different varied news sources on this. So,
yes.
Ranging from absolute insanity to
on both sides.
To like way overly cautious.
It never happened. It's a joke. To basically Jesus came down and intervened.
Right. This is also, shaking up the lines of conspiracy thought. Anyway, we'll get to that in a second.
We'll get to that.
But like ballistics experts on both sides are saying that he moved his head basically as the trigger was being pulled on that gun. And if he hadn't moved his head exactly when he did, the back of his head would have been blown on television. I'm going to have to censor a lot of this if this is the clip.
If this is the clip for YouTube.
My God, it was just milliseconds of if he hadn't turned, and if you watch the video, he turns and he turns back.
Because people turn in real life. It's not a picture.
Right.
And I would like to see the stats on how many times snipers take a shot and miss. It's got to be a lot.
And this is less than 24 hours after this happened, so forgive us if we're behind by the time this video or this podcast gets out. But holy Lord, that looks like straight up miracle stuff. So you can either look at it as this is one of Trump's 3 miracles that he needs before ascending into sainthood, or you can look at it as the Time Lord Trump, which is a whole other subset.
Explain Time Lord Trump. Not everybody knows this.
I love Time Lord Trump.
Okay.
So there is a lot of evidence that there's not a lot of evidence.
Yeah, I was going to say, don't call it evidence. Call it a conspiracy theory.
One of our favorite conspiracy theories that we had been hearing about like since before the No, it was right after the election. It was right after he got elected. These conspiracy theories started making it to our brains. So basically there's a series of books called the Baron Trump novels, where the actual illustration of the book looks shockingly like a Trump face. Like a Baron Trump face. You see it, right?
I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, you can see it. It's kind of a long face, got similar eyes, similar jaw structure. It's weirdly similar. So basically, it's a series of books about a rich kid who goes out on adventures, and time travels. Right? You know about it. You did a whole episode of Keenan's Conspiracy Theories. You produced that show.
Yes.
About this.
Yes, and what's interesting is it has all of the elements we're dealing with now, but kind of like a dream sequence. Mm-hmm. The way it comes down in a dream.
Right.
To the person. So Baron Trump goes on about his adventures. He's mentored by a man named Donald. Mm-hmm. And there's 2 books in this. And in the first one, it says The Travels and Adventures of Little Baron Trump and His Wonderful Dog, Bulger. Mm-hmm. Bulger. Anyway, Donald shows him a time-traveling portal in Russia. Mm-hmm. Which, as far as we know, does not exist.
As far as we know.
As far as we know.
Well could.
We don't know very much, apparently.
Sure.
And then the next in the series, is called The Last President.
Mm-hmm. I think that isn't part of this series, but it's just the next book that this author wrote.
Oh, I see.
All right, so it's not exactly the same.
I was going to say, well, how did they link them together?
Right. But no, this is a series of books, and then the author wrote another book called The Last President, in which a president...
a wealthy man who lives on Fifth Avenue.
And his vice president... Yeah, the guy lives on Fifth Avenue. His vice president's name is Pence. It's crazy.
I don't know if it's his vice president's name is Pence.
But there's a character.
There's a character named Pence in there. And basically, he runs for president. No one thinks he's going to win. Mm-hmm. The country erupts in violence. Mm-hmm. And that's why it's called The Last President.
Right. And then it's connected to the next step in this time traveler Trump theory that when Nikola Tesla died, he commonly known Nikola Tesla died essentially in poverty. All of his work kind of like in bins and just kind of everywhere. And there's an idea, I don't know how much this checks out, that Donald Trump's father inherited a bunch of those trunks and stuff, or his uncle.
His uncle got the trunks of Tesla's work. This is how the theory goes.
This is scientific stuff.
Yeah, so about time travel, because Tesla was working on time travel, because he's a self-respecting, out there scientist working on time travel. Donald Trump's uncle gets it. And then yada, yada, yada.
Yada, yada, yada.
The yada, yada, yada is important here because we don't know what happened after that.
Yada, yeah.
Did Donald Trump get all of this scientific work and somehow was able to time travel?
To construct a time machine. Go back. Somehow influence this author to write a book about a time-traveling child.
But here is where it could make sense. It sounds ridiculous, but what if you can't physically time travel? You can only speak to people in dreams.
Ooh.
And then it makes sense that it comes out in a novel.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, and then it makes sense that the world we're living in is some kind of metaphysical. It's symbols and all of this stuff, which if you are on the conspiracy side of the internet, the conspiracy side of the internet worth being on, you know this world is a world of symbols.
Right.
Symbolism. That's how people really communicate.
Sure.
Just like we're talking about, these pictures are more important than what actually happened.
What are words but symbols?
Yeah, exactly. And so if that's really time travel, then it makes sense that what this author saw is just a jumbled version of the future.
So Time Lord, God Emperor, Paul Atreides Trump.
People don't know these references.
This is a Dune reference.
Okay.
Saw the bullet moments before it left the gun, turned his head, and avoided being assassinated.
To get the picture.
It is so hard to argue. Well, I mean, the Time Lord Trump thing, sure. It's going to be...
You can't disprove it.
You can't disprove it.
You can't disprove it. It might not. You can't prove it, but you can't disprove it either.
It is going to be several years of insufferable Trump people because this makes all of the craziest Q stuff, even outside of the Time Lord Trump and the divine intervention Trump.
Yeah.
Everybody has been saying this was going to happen. Obviously, you have a political disruptor coming in. Of course, they're going to say that he's going to be, they're going to try to take him out.
Yeah. And if you want to be perfectly honest and give that side the credit that it's due, the media has kind of been saying Trump is a tyrant. Trump is a tyrant. I'm not saying Trump isn't a tyrant.
A threat to democracy. Right.
And if you know the mythology of the United States, the mythology of the United States is based on Roman mythology/history.
Sure.
And you know we're supposed to get rid of tyrants.
Sure.
We are based on Rome. And Rome's founding as a republic was they kicked their kings out.
Yep.
And then when Caesar came in, they accused him of trying to be a tyrant. He wasn't even the first political leader that they assassinated because he may have been a tyrant. And then cut forward to New Rome, United States. What did John Wilkes Booth scream out before he shot Lincoln?
Sic semper tyrannis.
Thus be the tyrants.
In
our mythology, in the United States mythology, you get rid of tyrants. You must.
And yes, and it has been an election cycle full of this man is a tyrant, this man is a fascist, this man is a threat to everything American. Now, I am obviously on record, hate Donald Trump. Yeah. I think Donald Trump is it's the most cynical culmination of the last 50 years of politics. It is like, of course we would end up with a game show host who is a fabrication of a human being.
Yeah.
He is not a real person.
He was created by the producers of The Apprentice. They created
Donald Trump.
Yeah, they created this idea of a boss man.
And before that, he was a slumlord, degenerate, pseudo-millionaire who refused to pay his workers. He is the worst of us.
Yeah, the absolute worst.
And of course, he would be elevated to God Emperor status now, and he's got an army of people who are going to correctly say that the media and the left ratcheted up the threat that he posed. This man who believes in nothing and knows
absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah. He said he didn't know that NATO was a thing before he became president. Like, he
knows
is so unqualified
and
to be
believes
president.
in nothing. Whenever they give him, whenever they put onto him these like grand designs.
Yeah.
This Project 2025 grand design.
Like, he read 1,000 pages of anything.
I would be shocked if he ever read a book ever.
He's dyslexic. So
I don't
he's got
think
that excuse.
Why would he read?
Yeah, he doesn't need to read. He's born rich.
They're putting this like this figure onto him.
Yes.
That makes him more powerful.
Yes.
Like,
it's beautiful. It's fantastic.
We've been watching The Boys because we're trying to figure out what the hell happened to that show.
Yeah.
And they're making Homelander Trump, and I just keep yelling at the television, stop making Trump into this like superhuman.
Yeah, Homelander is a trash. I would say character, not like a character in a show, but as a being.
Yes,
we don't know if he's human or not. But he's still a god king.
Right. He's this
all
powerful idiot.
Yes.
Right. Trump, you're making him all powerful.
He's just an idiot.
And
he's just a jerk. Like, he didn't pay his workers in the 80s. So we are not defending Trump. But the fact that the fates have chosen Trump.
It is impossible to not say that he has been chosen.
Yeah, and elevated
Whatever
him.
comes next, and it's going to get spicy, and it's going to get bad.
Yeah. And also, here's the thing, is I would say I don't necessarily believe in any of this metaphysics beyond this is a massive joke by the greatest joke writer in history, whom we call God.
Sure.
Yeah, that is my basic religion.
Yeah.
As an agnostic. But really, if I'm gun to my head, what do I believe? I believe our God is all-powerful and the greatest joke writer in history, and we don't necessarily understand his ways.
And what a perfect example of that than this. At this time,
yes,
when we are having this conversation about whether or not Joe Biden can, like, get on the toilet by himself.
Can he pass a field sobriety test completely sober? I don't think he can.
And now we have these videos of Donald Trump dodging a bullet, falling to the ground, covered in blood, standing up, fist in the air. The video doesn't look as strong, but the photos are just incredible.
Yeah.
It's some of the best photography you could ask for a guy running for president in a time where, like, all of the rhetoric is that we need to save the country.
Yes.
He's got his fist in the air, his face is covered in blood, and he looks strong.
And I will defend the right here, because the people on the left are like, this is terrible. But the people on the right think that the left is an existential threat.
Whether or not this guy, because right now they're saying, as of right now, again, this just happened.
What is it, 10:30?
Yeah.
Sunday morning?
As of right now, they're saying that this was I don't know his name, doesn't matter. He was a Republican, NRA
Registered
guy.
Republican.
Yeah, like, not just registered Republican, but I keep reading that he, like, voted in the primaries for Republicans, that he's a Republican. That's what I keep reading. Whether or not that's true, it doesn't matter.
Now,
this is going to come back to, if it doesn't come back to, like, this is all a smokescreen, and we'll get into the, the obvious conspiracy theories around this, but it's always going to come back to, like, the left did this. The left did this. This is what the left does. The left is violent.
well, because the left has been going after Trump in a way that Trump didn't go after them when he was president. This case against him, they say 34 felonies. We talked about it a few weeks ago.
It's the weakest. Again, I do not like this guy. I hate this timeline.
Yeah.
Every time I turn on the television, I have to go, like, why are you making me agree with Ben Shapiro?
Yeah.
Who I believe, like, nothing in common with.
We don't like, just as a disclaimer, we are not red MAGA people.
But the left is so far gone that you have to be like, well, why are you making these people who 10 years ago were unreasonable reasonable?
Yeah, because the case they brought against Trump in New York for the payoff of Stormy Daniels was the weakest of the cases, and it's not what we signed on for. The people wanted the Georgia case.
Yes.
Did Trump call down to Georgia and tell them to find 10,000 votes so that he could become president? Basically, be a tyrant and put himself as president.
Right.
Because that's a problem.
Right.
That is against our mythology.
Right.
Paying off paying off a porn star.
Yeah.
That's not even in the mythology.
It doesn't
it's like,
matter.
whatever.
He has been found guilty on 34 accounts of the same crime
Yeah.
that is essentially shuffling paperwork.
Nobody
Wrong.
cares. Nobody can explain it properly.
Go back and get him for like non-payment of services. Go back and get him for like
Money you can get him on.
that would do worse for his reputation. But you're getting him for having sex with a porn star. Like it's just making him cool.
That is his reputation.
I can't believe it.
Yeah, so we are in the dumbest, funniest possible
Yeah.
timeline.
Before we move on from like this is something I just found. This is from 3 months ago,
Yes.
and this is building this I guess is in line with the divine Trump.
Yes.
All throughout America, all throughout, and I saw Trump rising up, and then I saw an attempt on his life. This bullet flew by his ear, and it came so close to his head that it busted his eardrum. And I saw he fell to his knees during this time frame, and he started worshiping the Lord. He got radically born again during this time frame. I'm talking. People say he's saved now, but he becomes really on fire for Jesus, for what I saw coming. And then I saw people interceding when I saw him winning the presidency through great. The Lord showed me it would go clear into the summer. Great persecution would come on him through the judges and through the law and all these people trying to sue him and all this stuff. But there would be a stop to it, and there things would start to break free come toward the fall. And then I saw him winning the election through the Patriots coming out and voting. And
there you have it. 3 months ago that was, and this myth is going to continue to be built. We watched what InfoWars last night. They broke in super late, by the way.
Alex Jones was in California.
Said he was on a
whatever.
secret mission.
Secret
or
mission, whatever.
Uncovering some story. Yeah, he got pulled off a patio drinking somewhere.
Uncovering some margaritas is what he was doing.
But they're all praying. They're all...
Oh, my God, the prayer. And they're all, not only are they praying...
Yeah.
Which is hilarious because you could tell that one of them was not prepared to say a prayer.
You can see the two guys in the InfoWars studio just dying for that studio to get shut down. It's just like, what is going on?
Yeah, these are not Alex Jones. These are some of his underlings.
Yeah.
And this happens. Someone throws a prayer to you, like they put you in the middle of the dance floor, and now you got to do a dance. And some people are like, "Hell yeah, it's my time to dance," and some people are like, "I am not ready to do a public prayer right now." It's like I just want to reiterate that, like, praise Jesus and like what he said. And
Alex Jones is like, so we all want to pray right now. Owen, why don't you give us a prayer?
It wasn't Owen; it's the other one.
The other one. Hey, other guy, why don't you give us a prayer?
Yeah, the guy that brings Owen coffee.
Okay. And, like, he just stumbled through a prayer. And then he pitched it to the other guy, and he had like a way too prepared prayer.
Yeah, his prayer like had Latin in it, and it's like, dude, watch out for this dude. Watch out for this dude,
This dude
because
can pray. But anyway,
no, he can use it. They're all using it.
Yeah.
This is like an offshoot of Christian nationalism we're seeing, and I compared it earlier today when we were just bullshitting to the rise of Mormonism.
Sure.
Because Mormonism is an offshoot of Christianity itself.
Sure.
I wouldn't call Mormonism Christianity, but whatever. Christianity is an offshoot of Judaism, which is also crazy.
I remember losing my stuff during the Christian nationalism of the Iraq War and the rise of Sarah Palin and all of that. We thought that was bad. This is a miracle. They have a miracle in their mythology right now. This is going to build to something so absurd. And on top of that, you see Barron, the 7-foot-tall son of Trump, walking around. You see the path that we're on.
No, people want an emperor. They want not only an emperor, because they see that in Trump, they want the son of an emperor.
Yeah.
They want a lineage. They want aristocracy. They want the kings back. And we're like, no. Don't forget death be to tyrants. We didn't forget about that. We're just saying maybe the left got out of hand.
Just as Paul Atreides did not become God Emperor of Dune, his son becomes God Emperor of Dune.
Yeah. So this is more mythology.
Paul achieved miracles in Dune.
Yeah.
His son becomes the all-knowing, all-seeing God Emperor Worm God of Dune. And that is he looks like a worm. He's 7 feet tall. He's like such a big, tall, wormy guy.
Okay,
It's all there.
For people who haven't read Dune, if you know someone who has read Dune,
Ask
they're
them
going to
about
bring
this.
it up all the time. It's like being a vegan. They can't help but tell you about it.
It's about everything, and the parallels here are crazy.
Well, I'll say the parallels here are crazy because Dune itself is based off of history, and we're seeing history rhyming.
Yeah.
And we're seeing the spirituality come up in things that really happen, but people assign meaning. Because look at that video. How often does Trump move his head? Somebody watch a Trump rally and tell me how often he moves his head.
Yeah.
It's probably a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I would say it's probably like once every few seconds.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, he's going to move his head. That's why the video isn't as impressive as the picture, but the picture is the symbol itself.
Yeah.
So that's what we're seeing. We're seeing people assign mythology and assign what they need.
Mm-hmm.
Because Trump himself was already the leader of a cult.
Right.
He already had these mythical powers, which you can see he's not magic.
Right. And you will eventually do this full breakdown, but give us like where are the markers for cult status within the MAGA movement? And again, you can do the same thing for a lot of stuff on the left, but what the MAGA thing gets set apart for is that there is a figurehead.
There's a
There is
I mean,
a cult of
that's what you
personality.
need. There's a cult of personality, and a cult of personality is basically when a social group, comes around a central person who they ascribe this meaning to, but this person is so charismatic that they just draw you in. And Trump has that charisma because personally has that charisma. He's very tall. He always dates these beautiful women, and he also sort of encourages it around him. He encourages through the PR because he knows how to work this stuff. So that was already happening long before any of this. And then we saw The Apprentice come about. So then we see that they have filmed and edited, an entire crew of people are working to write, film, edit him as a powerful person. And then you see other powerful people, C-list actors and actresses, and Piers Morgan, who's now got himself important. And all of these people, like bishops, like priests, have their own interest in rising themselves up. And so you see that they owe Trump.
Right.
So we're seeing a lot of that. These powerful individuals on their own working for Trump's interest.
Right. And then the mythology because a good cult needs a mythology, that was the Q movement.
Yeah.
Like all of the mysticism within the Q movement.
Explain about the Q movement more. People might not know.
How do you explain about the Q movement?
Who is
There's
Q?
so much within the Q movement. There's a very good HBO documentary where they basically uncover who is responsible for.
But not necessarily who. Okay, so the Q is this dude in Southeast Asia. We're not going to talk about that. That's what the HBO documentary says. But what is Q?
The figure of Q is an individual within the Trump administration who is knowledgeable of like the big picture behind everything Trump does.
Yeah.
And he was posting on, I think it was 8chan back in the day. And people got really worked up about it. You've heard of it, the Q thing.
Yeah.
That there would be these Q drops, like posts by this figure Q, who you couldn't even really verify was the same person every time.
No.
By the way.
Could have been anyone.
But the idea was that he was working closely with Trump to lock up basically every politician, to drain the swamp properly, to
Clean up the deep state.
Clean up the deep state and all this stuff.
The deep state has its own mythology. Now we have a hero rising to fight this great evil.
And obviously it's all nonsense. Donald Trump doesn't believe or know anything. Stop putting things onto Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Turned out to be a big troll thing, I'm pretty sure. But it has people who even just like the what's it called in the Rapture Never Comes.
Oh, the Millerites.
Yeah, just like the Millerites. He was president. He was already president.
Yeah.
They had already won. Nothing happened.
Yeah.
And just like the Millerites, they're still there. They're still hanging on. And this is their opportunity to do it again. So that's going to get ratcheted up. And this attempted assassination is the miracle they need. to really proselytize correctly, to get people.
Yeah, and somebody did die.
Yes.
2 people died.
Yeah, let's get into that, because when it was happening, the first thing I turned to you and said is like, did they fake this? Did they fake this?
Because you're in wrestling mindset.
Of course, and so is Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a figure in WWE. If you were telling somebody in the future when everything's collapsed and we're sitting around a fire and somebody wants to recount the history of WWF wrestling, Donald Trump would be a figure within that.
He
tale.
is. He is.
He would go on to become president. So he gets it, which is also like, it shows how, I mean, that's a whole other conversation. But he knows how to cut his ear with a razor blade on his way down to the ground. He gets it. He knows how to do it. That's a wrestling tactic.
Yeah.
So the first thing I said when we were in the car listening to it on the radio, like I'm glancing to your phone trying to watch the video, I'm like, did they fake this? Because again, even when we first heard about it, Trump survives the attempt. This is going to win the election. Mm-hmm. This is what they need. This rallies support. This gets people who are sitting on the edge to get off the edge. This is getting everybody out. Trump wins no matter what now.
Not everybody, but the people who would have voted for him and the people who really don't like the left and would have otherwise just stayed home.
Yeah. Yeah, I know tons of people who are like, I don't like either option. I'm one of them. Like, I get it.
You're not going to vote for Trump.
Absolutely not.
But there are people that would.
Yes.
Yeah, especially seeing this and then seeing that he does seem to be persecuted.
Right. But I think it's going to, and there are still people on the left and the right on Twitter right now this morning who are arguing back and forth on how, like, whether or not this was faked. But how could this be fake? You have a dead man on the roof of a building.
Yes.
You have a dead audience member. You have audience members leaving, video of them leaving covered in blood. There's a photograph of a bullet. Not that you can't fake that. And it's real rich watching these InfoWars people try to be like, there's no way they could have faked it. There's no way they could have faked it.
Well, we're watching the flip in traditional conspiracy thinking because we're watching the far left say that this was faked.
Yes.
And they're basically falling into the conspiracy thinking that they have warned us about, mocking people who didn't take the vaccine, mocking people who thought this that COVID came out of a lab in China, mocking. And a lot of that, there's more scientific evidence, much more scientific evidence than what they've got.
Yeah.
So now they're coming out, and we're seeing this a lot. Was it a knee-jerk reaction or whatever? But these people on the far left basically saying this is fake, which is a insane conspiracy theory.
Yeah, it is so well documented. There is no way this is fake.
We're watching independent cell phone videos.
Right. Because I guess I was also thinking like, okay, well maybe they got their patsy, they got him on the roof with a gun that they supplied. There's blanks in the gun. And Donald Trump ducks, cuts his ear.
Yeah.
But somebody's dead in the stands. It doesn't work.
Well, they could still
bullets were fired.
Yeah, bullets were fired. They could still have the patsy. No one's saying this guy wasn't a patsy.
No. That's the second conspiracy theory.
Yeah, because this is, if we're going to parallel 9/11, we have to parallel 9/11 for every major conspiracy.
Of course.
If we're going to parallel 9/11, it's they let it happen or they made it happen.
Sure.
So the less insane conspiracy theory is they let it happen. And this is the traditional, he's a patsy, he was firing a real gun, he was actually trying to assassinate the president.
This is going to do great on YouTube. Yes.
We have to cut out everything.
Now, I'm not an expert. I've listened to a lot of people who claim to be experts this morning.
What do they say?
They say it's absolutely insane that there was an unsecured, like, highest vantage point in the area 150 yards from the stage. There are people on X, on all the bullshit, on even CNN, saying this looks bad for the Secret Service because it's 150 yards from the thing.
Okay.
I'm not a sharpshooter, but again, lots of people, tons of sharpshooters, apparently, people who, that's their hobby, say 150 yards is an easy shot at a quarter.
Okay, 2 things here. One, this is why I don't want a second civil war. because there are people out there who are like blue-haired nose ring hippies who are like, man, bring it all down, man. Never picked up a gun in their life, never grew a vegetable in their life. And then there's the people on the other side who's like, look, I shoot 20 hours a week for fun.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you X, Y, and Z. It's like the side that shoots 20 hours a week for fun, they're going to win. They're going to win real fast.
They're going to do better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not going to get your community garden. So that's number one in this.
Right.
And number two in this, if I'm going to be completely rational, which is my role, someone has to be, 'cause I'm going to get crazy in a minute. How often does this happen? We're just seeing where someone came up and tried to do this. But how many Secret Service does Donald Trump have? They say that he has to speak with the local police. So
What do you mean speak with the local? Oh, like, okay, so yeah, a lot of people are saying.
people are saying
Again, it's
Trumpism.
It's been like
Trumpism. He's in our vocabulary. He's in our mind.
He really fucking
People
is.
are saying
It's been like 18 hours or whatever, so we don't fully know. But the response to the people saying that this is very fishy, that they wouldn't lock some stuff up, are also saying that there is a huge strain right now on the Secret Service, that there are not enough Secret Service members, and they often have to coordinate with police and bring police in on their Secret Service efforts during events and stuff. And the police themselves are understaffed, that we have a serious like security problem for securing our whatevers.
that's true. I mean, defund the police, and people didn't want to become police. They are understaffed. They're constantly looking for people who want to be police officers. So are we just watching systematic problems align?
Yeah.
Like, and that's where we are right now.
The bigger problem is that there are videos from people in the crowd before the shoot started
Yeah.
with videos of the guy setting up his gun and pointing at the guy going, he's got a